Being in the volatile crypto market, don't get confused about what XRP and the total crypto market is doing. If you do look at XRP on a weekly, you kind of have a lot of clarity about what it's doing. Because it is repeating what it has done in the past, it makes things a little bit easier for us to understand. Especially if you go back 5 years, if you go back 10 years. The market is giving you all the clarity you need. How can you access those? You will have to go back in time and watch those. But what can you understand from each of these instances? The results were same each and every time. So what is it going to be this time? How high can XRP actually go? If you're watching this weekly candle, there are a few questions in your mind. And Ether kind of solves a lot of them on a micro. What is it and how will that play out? Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Why are these charts really important? Because if you look back in time, it was showing you something. What? The price action and the pattern, which was all in line with the negative divergence stuff we've been talking about. And once you have the accumulation, reaccumulation, and markup, then you're looking for what? The negative divergence. So the price action was already showing you that, and then it kind of showed you what the downside is. Now watch. You literally are inside that consolidative move. So it's been a long time, but you understand the fact that once the negative divergence is in, majority of the assets drop. If you want to go back, pick some assets in the past and look at the market structure. When they topped out in this cycle, last cycle, every other moves in the market, you kind of get to taste what we are watching. Yeah. This is SNX. Now, this is a 3-day chart, not a weekly chart. Weekly chart will be the precise one. So in here, you're watching a 3-day chart showing you the negative divergence and the price continuing to drop. Say you want to go back up. You want to actually pick up the long-term chart, the weekly, to see did that actually line up with last cycle, say 2021 cycle. Is that the same? If it is, why is it so? Yeah. So you pick up a weekly chart on that particular asset, you go back in time. Now what you're watching is back then you had the weekly and monthly showing you the cycle top. So here the monthly argued that cycle top is in. Before that, at each local tops, you were watching the fact that the price on a weekly was showing you negative divergence that it is about to drop. Why? Because each drops in that case was like 70% drop. That is a huge drop. So the first negative divergence was not the cycle top on a weekly, but then the next one was, because it was also a negative divergence on the monthly. So the question is, does all the other assets abide by this rule? Say you pick up XRP for that matter. I mean, for most of us, that asset matters a lot. So you're up here, you're watching this on a weekly. Yeah, you got the first divergence here, and that showed the price may drop. The price did drop 75%. Now, the next divergence again was arguing the fact that the price can drop. But what was different? If you look at the monthly, it was also showing you that the cycle top is in. So in XRP terms, what you're watching here is it followed what the next price action showed last time. So if you are hunting for the cycle top, in some assets, it's the monthly negative divergence which you're looking for. In some assets, it's the weekly. So you literally have to pick them up and watch for the negative divergence. But make sure you understand this. Negative divergence on a weekly does not mean that the price cannot go higher. It can. Because if the monthly has not yet registered such a move, a negative divergence, it still can go up. But before that, you will experience 60 to 70% drop. This is the clean argument which I'm making. Right now, when you have negative divergence on a lot of different assets, you need to ask that question to yourself. So you pick up a smart contract asset like this. This is Ether in front of you. You're watching a possible negative divergence with a confirmation on a weekly. And that argues like this asset dropping 70% from here really does not make much of a sense. Yeah. So if the price come back to retest the local high and then drop back to test the trend line, you're still at a 40% drop. But understand, for Ether as a large cap asset, 40% drop itself is a huge volume shift. So you also have to put that into perspective. 70% for medium to micro cap and highly volatile assets. And such assets like Ether may give you a 35 to 40%. Now we come up here and pick any asset from the market. Say you're looking for the ones which are running up. So you are looking at ICP, that's a good project. We can look at it. But the consensus should be what the market is showing you and what it is not showing you. So you go into a weekly chart, you pick things up and you see, okay, it had a negative divergence developed back in March 2024, last year. Then from there, the price dropped. So on a weekly, negative divergence formed and the price dropped 70%. So does this align with whatever we are talking about? I think it does. Fine. Now come on to Bitcoin and watch the weekly. So you already understand where we are going with this and you already know which direction it's going. But it's not that 70% drop in Bitcoin coming. Bitcoin usually does not drop 70% after the negative divergence. But we have seen 50, 55%. Such a drop in Bitcoin is big. So then the question is the entire market going down? You pick up the Bitcoin dominance for that matter. This trend line in front of you, it started ranging all the way from 2023. So you now have 2023, 2024 confirming that's a long-term trend line, which then broke to the downside. And not only that, it came back up to retest and is getting rejected, which is a great sign. So if you're on a monthly chart, you're like, whoa, that's a huge shift in the price action, saying this is the formation of the top. Yeah, you got the local top formation in there, just like these. Fine. So once you get that, what are you looking for? A massive corrective move to the downside, reaching the macro trend line. Fine. So if Bitcoin dominance is doing that, then it really doesn't matter what Bitcoin itself is doing. But based on history, we also understand Bitcoin needs to consolidate inside a range. What is the range? That was a 30% drop in Bitcoin itself. What would be a 30% drop? It would be coming back down to $75,000, $74,000. This range is going to be active for Bitcoin. So while the price drops in Bitcoin terms and Bitcoin dominance falls, all coins are stagnant, not doing much. But with each bounce in Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance dropping, all coins will perform much better. So while the altcoin market is moving up, how will your favorite coin move up, right? So for us, it's XRP. And on a monthly chart, it kind of gives you all the clarity you need. So the monthly, look at the RSI and its direction. Do you see the amount of buying strength going down on a macro? Or do you see the amount of buying strength going up? So put that onto a volume candle and you'll understand what I'm talking about. There was a lot of talk in the market. The price action started moving up. Now, the talk in the market is still there, but you don't have that amount of volume coming in. But the buying strength is still going up. Ask that question to yourself. If 100 people came in back then, and now it's only 10, the price is still going up. So who will that 10 be? It would be among the top 5, top 10% of the world entering, maybe even the top 1%. Now, why would I put such an argument? Because if you actually take market for XRP on a macro, not just that one exchange, and look at it, now look at the volume on a monthly. It shows something. The total run up which you had back in there, the price action in that exchange showed a lot of volume and it pushed the price up. But in here, it's a little bit different. The buying strength is still going up, the volume is still thick, and it's way above the all-time highs region. So automatically that is showing you the price action for the macro has not yet completed its big burst. So once the monthly shows you a negative divergence, yes, it's over. But where will that be? For XRP, first you need to develop what? The weekly negative divergence. Then you may go for the next leg, which is the monthly. So you now have to look for one big burst, which should create the weekly negative divergence. And then you should look for the next one, which is the monthly. So literally that's wave 2 and wave 3. But let me ask you this. Do you really wish to ride the market down after wave 2 to make sure you are buying the perfect asset? If so, you should be interested in this, because if you're watching a 70% drop in one asset, that is like, say you put 10K in XRP, you are at 100,000, 70% drop means you're going to come back down to 30. It's not bad. 10 to 30 is a good idea, which is fine. But 100 to 30 is still a little bit slippery slope. If you are even a long-term investor and your short-term capital gains is not that high, then it makes complete sense to say at that divergence rate, take the capital out, wait for the market to drop 50, 60, 70%, and then re-enter as soon as you have a bullish divergence, which kind of helps you a lot more. So now you're waiting for what? The next big leg up in XRP, which in the RSI terms may look like this. Fine. It may be up to early Feb, late Feb, wherever, but the price action should look something like this. So that kind of gives you a clear idea that the weekly is kind of getting saturated. If you don't take profit, someone else will, arguing that it already did a 20x. Why wouldn't you take the profits? Fine. Now, that correction should be like this. An ABC, which kind of dropped 70, 80% to the downside. Okay, it would look like this, not that big. And then it should start. So the price going up to $6 to $9 and then coming back to 2.5 is a crazy drop. Then if you're going towards $15, yeah, from 9 to 15, it's not that big, but 2.5 to 15 is still okay. So those who are riding the 0.3 towards this local top will be making 25 to 30x, and that in XRP, a large cap asset, is too much. It's too big. Yeah. Now, will it explode? Will more volume come in? Will more FOMO push the price up? We'll have to watch how the volume goes. We'll have to watch the breakout. With each breakout, if we're getting more volume coming back into the market, yeah, it may not be 12, it would be 16, 18, 20, who knows? We will have to follow the price action. But the assets showing negative divergence is not the area to be in. There is quite a lot of assets showing you that now. And that's exactly why we're going through this Ask for Tea and trying to cover everything. I've been doing this for a few days. And we already saw a lot of different assets. And at least 30% of them already shows you a negative divergence. And I'm like, whoa, that does not mix well. Because if whales want to change something, they will create panic. And how can they do that? If they have control over a few assets, they can decide to sell it a little by little by little and drop the price in that asset, which kind of creates a negative sentiment or a choppy idea of the market. So not a lot of people would go aggressive buying. Rather, they would all wait for a drop in the majority of the assets. that should be the time where the other assets which dropped, they'll move in to the assets which didn't drop much. So non-negative divergence assets would be more attractive while the negative divergence assets drop. So if you manage your portfolio in a clean way with a pure balance between assets with divergence and without negative divergence, you should be okay to ride this wave to the upside. So if you haven't smashed that like button yet, consider doing that to support the channel. And if you want to participate in all the charts we're posting here to make sure your portfolio is well aligned, be a part of the Scientific Investor family. Use the link in the description below. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.